Hi there, welcome to my views and news. Two new stories for you. Eritrea trying to build an alliance against Ethiopia. This is how Eritrea countered. This is how Somalia countered Ethiopia when Ethiopia tried to implement controversial MOU with Somaliland. Somalia's alliance was regional. Eritrea is also trying to build a similar alliance, but with more countries and a broader alliance than what Somalia tried to build against Ethiopia. Secondly, about the Tigray high-level delegation met with a U.S. diplomat in Addis Ababa. Let's start with this news story, viewers, about Tigray. Tigray is in the grip of a political conflict which is still unsolved. No new president has been appointed. Getachew Reda claimed that he's still the president of Tigray, but he's not in Tigray. He said that his life is in danger. His life could be in danger in Tigray. So he's the only president who claims to be the president, who is signing all the letters as the president, as he claimed, but his life is not safe in the region which he claims to be the president of. It's a unique case in the world, by the way. Uh, Meanwhile, a high level Tigray delegation met with the US ambassador to Ethiopia. Arvind Masinga is US ambassador to Ethiopia. Tigray Interim Council delegation met with Arvind Masinga in Addis Ababa. Tigray Interim Council was formed by Getachew government. Sadkan and Getachew backed the idea of formation of Tigray Interim Council. Basically, the council was formed to work in the place of Tigray Regional Council, which was dismantled after Pretoria. Ethiopian federal government never recognized 2020 election in Pretoria. I think TPLF agreed to dismantlement of Tigray government formed after 2020 election. That is why Tigray had no regional council in recent years. That is why Getachew and Sadkan formed interim council to take the place of regional council. The interim council does not have representation of TPLF and Tigray military. Though Getachew invited them to join, but TPLF boycotted it. Military boycotted it. Opposition parties have joined it. Some trade unions have joined it. Employees unions have joined it, but it does not have real political representation. Now, when Getachew has been kicked out of Tigray by TPLF, Debrecen, and Tigray military, the fate of interim council is also not clear. It might be dismantled, or the interim council will have to come under the control of TPLF and Tigray military. That is why the interim council members met with Arvind Masinga, US ambassador. A meeting was held in Addis Ababa. So this delegation traveled to Addis Ababa to meet with the US ambassador. Uh, Council members obviously want US to support the establishment, the continuation of this council. Will TPLF and Tigray military allow the council to work? That remains to be seen. But it seems that Americans are now making big decisions, or they're being involved in big decisions about Tigray. American ambassador was part of talks when Abiy met with Varede a few days ago. And now Tigray Interim Council members are meeting with the US ambassador asking US to support the council. So big decisions about Tigray's future, about political conflict in Tigray are being made in the presence of Americans and by Americans, you can say. Secondly, viewers, Eritrea, it seems, wants to build a bigger Middle Eastern alliance uh, with participation of Horn of Africa countries too against Ethiopia. Now it has been reported by several sources. Ethiopia's claim to Assad, though not official, but it's almost official now. Ethiopian ministers openly say that Ethiopia should have access to Assad, though they say that access should be through dialogue, through negotiations, but tensions are there. As a last resort, Ethiopian government could use military, could use force as well. How is Eritrea countering this Ethiopian ambition? When Ethiopia signed MOU with Somaliland to gain access to Berbera, to gain access to sea through Somaliland, Somalia called it a violation of its sovereignty, territorial integrity, and Somalia consulted Eritrea, Egypt, and they decided to form an alliance. Somalia, Egypt, and Eritrea formed an alliance. Basically, three-country alliance. Djibouti was part of it to some extent too, and they backed Abdirahman, the opposition candidate in Somaliland, and Abdirahman won election in Somaliland. Abi's bid for gaining access to Somaliland failed because Somalia got support from Eritrea and Egypt. And then internal situation in Somaliland changed. Sasawaki played a key role, I think, in supporting Somalia, in providing regional support to Somalia's government, diplomatic support, etc. Now, when Eritrea is facing a similar situation, it is adopting the same strategy. It is trying to build an alliance against Ethiopia. This time, it wants Arab world to intervene. Eritrea knows that Somalia cannot be a major ally for Eritrea in this confrontation against Ethiopia. It can play a role, but not a major ally. Egypt can play a role, but it is already not on good terms with Ethiopia, so it is not in a position to put pressure upon Ethiopia. Middle Eastern countries can play a big role. That is why Eritrea is now mainly focused on forming an alliance with Middle Eastern countries to counter Ethiopian ambitions. A few days ago, Usman Saleh, Minister of Foreign Affairs of Eritrea, visited Saudi Arabia and he delivered a special message from Isaias Afwerki, Eritrean president, to Saudi leaders. I said back then that the message was about Assad and Eritrea wants Saudis to develop Assad. If Saudis agree to invest in Assad, that would keep Ethiopia away from Assad. That was one part of the message. Secondly, Eritrea wants revival of an organization formed almost 5 years ago, led by Saudi Arabia. The organization was formed to protect the Red Sea and the Gulf of Aden. Red Sea Council is the name of this organization, founded in January 2020, led by Saudis. In 2020 January, foreign ministers of 8 countries met in Saudi Arabia. They met with King Salman of Saudi Arabia, and this organization was founded. Eritrea, Saudi Arabia, Djibouti, Somalia, Egypt, Yemen, and Jordan are 8 countries part of this Red Sea Council. Usman Saleh, I remember back then, visited Saudi Arabia. And back then, when it was formed, Red Sea Council, it was said that the purpose of the formation of the council was to protect the sea route through the Red Sea, through the Gulf of Aden, against piracy, against smuggling, etc. Eritrea wants to use this Red Sea Council, the Red Sea Council members, in its confrontation against Ethiopia. Eritrea wants Saudi-led Red Sea Council to send a message to Ethiopia that Ethiopia cannot set foot near Gulf of Aden, near Red Sea. That is why Usman Saleh met with Saudi leaders. What will Saudi Arabia do? Will it invest in a support? Will it reactivate Red Sea Council? Uh, that remains to be seen. Saudis would like to reactivate Red Sea Council. Saudis, Emiratis are rivals. They want to expand their political religious cloud in Asia, in Africa. UAE, Emiratis have been expanding their reach in Africa, in the Horn of Africa. Saudis, I don't think, would like to be left behind. So this offer by Eritrea will be accepted by Saudis. How will they intervene? When will they intervene? That remains to be seen. Thank you for watching.